Hello, board members. Melissa and Kate and I are happy to be here to share with you the journey that we've been on for the past year, actually, working with our energy, equity, inclusivity, diversity, and justice agenda at the Irving Institute. And from my own personal standpoint, I have to say that this has been an incredibly rewarding process. It's been a growth process for me as a professional. And I'm grateful to my teammates for being on this journey with me. We've been meeting weekly since just about this time last year, reading together and talking together and breaking things down and starting now to build things back up, right? And so we're going to report on that process, why we're doing it, what it's all about, and where we're going next. So I'd like to hand it over now to Kate. Could you please remind us, right, where we started with this process, what's been motivating us on this journey?
Thank you, Amanda. So following the murder of George Floyd in May 2020, many organizations, institutions, businesses were called upon to have a sort of public reckoning around issues of racial justice, economic justice, disability justice, and other sort of forms of oppression that, you know, many organizations are sort of implicitly part of. And we decided that we were implicated to involve ourselves in this work because of the natural ties between energy systems and systems of oppression, and also the way that the energy industry has advantaged and disadvantaged some individuals. So we decided that we needed to investigate these issues in the context of our own organization. And we spent a lot of time thinking about really big questions around how justice issues impact energy very broadly. We thought about how justice issues impact energy education, how justice issues impact energy research. We sort of looked into a lot of different corners of the spaces that we are part of. We read a lot of plans, inclusion plans that were written by businesses, written by energy organizations and sustainability organizations within higher ed. We read plans that were written by museums and other cultural institutions. And we looked through these and looked at what we liked, and we looked at what we didn't like, and we mined sort of the best of from all of these other plans and tried to incorporate them into a plan that made sense for us as an organization and also included like the values of the Irving Institute and the values of Dartmouth College. And we wrote a plan, and we're really excited to share it with you. Melissa, could you speak a little bit more about where we're at now with the plan that we wrote?
Sure, thanks. So we now have a full draft of this plan, and we have shared it with the entire Institute team and gone through it and asked questions and had a dialogue, and we are really in a good place with it and in agreement that this represents our values and our goals, and we are excited to go forward with it. The document itself, really, in addition to providing context and motivation, also really looks at 6 key areas of operations, including staffing, which is both recruitment and retention of staff, procurement, education, research, engagement, governance, and guidance. And so we're really looking forward to sharing this widely, including with our advisory board, who has, many of you have been so helpful in sharing your perspectives and insights to help us build this plan. And Amanda's going to tell you more about what our next steps are.
Thanks, Melissa. So what we're anxious to do now that we have the blessing of the team and a working draft is to pursue 2 parallel pathways. One is to circle back around with our Irving Institute Advisory Board subgroup, who helped us with this earlier this year, and get their take on this, on the draft. And at the same time, to shop it around to some of our key friends of the Irving Institute at Dartmouth. So including our collaborators in the Dartmouth Energy Collaborative, as well as other centers and forums at Dartmouth who've also been struggling with or wrestling with this challenge of how to articulate their goals and their actions and action commitments towards justice and inclusivity as well. So once we complete those two activities, we will be able to post a version of the document, as well as create for ourselves internally a rubric that we use to hold ourselves accountable to these measures. Because it's one thing to put up a plan, it's another thing to make sure that we actually take the actions that are outlined in the plan. So we'll treat this as a living document, just as we treat our strategic plan document, and revisit it at least on an annual basis. But even after we lose Kate Salamido to her future adventures in law school, Melissa and I will maintain this team and continue to work as a core energy source at the Institute for sustaining this conversation and continuing the journey, moving on ahead. So thank you all for listening to this. Please let us know if you have any questions or comments that you want to share with us, and look forward to chatting more with you about it at the board meeting.